the Twitters set up here, and it's taking me a long time in this setup. This is pretty silly. And then let's see if I can set up the live chat, and hopefully everyone can see that, because we are live, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you so much for tuning in, gadget groupies of all kinds, because I'm really excited about this one. I'm not going to try and make this some silly, some silly nostalgia play. As you may have noticed, around 6 a.m. Pacific time this morning, a whole ton of Blackberry Key2 videos went live. This is the Blackberry Key2, still in the box. And, the embargo finally lifted, and the internet was flooded with Blackberry coverage, and all was right with the universe. This is the first embargo. You're technically not allowed to be doing reviews yet, which makes a lot of sense because they want you to spend a little time with the phone before you produce a full review on it. And I was in the unique position of having received this phone yesterday. So even for an unboxing, hands-on, first impressions, whatever we're going to call it, I wasn't able to put all of that together last night. So instead I figured we'd do it live. Do it live! So this is the Blackberry Key2. We're going to go through taking it out of the box. I hate doing unboxing videos. I do apologize for subjecting you to that. So then setting it up and getting just some first impressions on what I think is cool, what's different, what's changed. And I do have my Blackberry KeyOne here that we can also reference. Just real quick, we could probably switch over, and so this is the Blackberry Key2. We've of course got the Snapdragon 660, dual 12 megapixel cameras, an 8 megapixel front camera. This is the 64 gig version with 6 gigabytes of RAM and that beautiful 3500 milliamp hour battery. So top of the box, Blackberry KeyOne, stylus, and my coffee. So I'm just going to take a quick sip and wear some gadget bra for the unbox. Well, he currently resides in Florida, so I couldn't fly him out for all of my unboxing duties. Yeah, that's just an inside joke because I hate doing unboxing vids, and I like to make fun of them. So I did a really wonky one for the for my gimbal, and really went over the top, and people took me seriously, like I was really going to start doing those kinds of videos on my channel. So here's the Blackberry Key2. It's like right up front. It's right on top of the box. I'm going to pop it out right now. So Key2, just to kind of compare, we can see that. Very similar in size to the KeyOne. Very refined edges. I like that. They've definitely changed up how this rubber material meets the metal frame on the phone. I like the new camera housing. It is a little bit more of a harder bump, camera bulge, than this sort of graduated camera cylinder, but that looks really sharp too. Still got a dual LED, dual color tone flash. And, oh, what do we have here? Is TCL finally seen the light that we no longer want the power button placed in the weirdest place possible? That would be very, very cool. It's a silly thing to get excited about, but I am getting excited about that all of your controls are now on one side of the phone. Okay, yeah, that's pretty cool. And then the keyboard, I don't know if we can see that, how well we can see that from this camera angle. The keyboard is definitely looking really sharp. Everything they've said about increasing the size of the keyboard, that definitely seems like it's accurate, like that's on point. So just real quick, I want to see what else we got in the box. The KeyOne was pretty well accessorized. I can get rid of the lid and get rid of that top. And we've got a little container here. This is probably where our pin tool, pin tool and a bunch of papers. Welcome to your quick guide setup. Blackberry Smart, we don't need any of that. We do get a pair of Blackberry earbuds. That's always a nice little perk. And they are intraoral offset drivers. Okay, that's cool. I think that's even a step up from the KeyOne. We're not dealing with silly, wonky earpod style designs. I'm going to put out another shameless plug for I did an interview, a podcast interview with one of the top audiologists in the country, and earpods are bad for you, so stop using them. I care about your hearing. I care about your health. Let's see. A USB-C cable and a charger, because this is quick charge compatible, so I'll have to run some tests on how well that goes. And we're done with the box. All right, phone's out of the box. This is the part that always makes me happiest. I'm just gonna toss these two, and this, and these. Beautiful. All right, so I'm gonna see if I can get my mic in just a little closer. I don't know if that ASMR'd enough for you guys, but we also have this, like, instead of having this on the front face of the phone, you've got your BlackBerry Protect, your BlackBerry Shield. It would have been nice if they'd followed the trend of other manufacturers where this was just a screen protector. Even a crappy plastic screen protector would have been nice, but this is a BlackBerry, and I would have preferred seeing, just something to protect the screen rather than your logo right there. That's not very helpful. And for, again, we talk about how well accessorized is the phone out of the box. Well, that would have been a nice touch to properly accessorize the phone. From Jonky, I honestly don't know why all phones need to include headphones. It's really just whether or not the phone is in a usable state as soon as you get it. And so I do appreciate when manufacturers make an effort to make the phone as complete as possible. So, you look at a Huawei and it's, you get a plastic bumper, it's got a pre-installed screen protector, and I think that's the best way to show off what your phone is all about, what your phone is trying to accomplish. And then people don't have to worry about whether or not they've got an accessory for that, or they can spend more and get better stuff. Let's see. I'm gonna, oh yeah, it goes in this side. So I'm just putting in my memory card here. Are the BlackBerry navigation buttons Easter screen space? Should they be like the Google Pixel phones? I really would prefer BlackBerry move to on-screen controls, since we're already saving so much space on the keyboard. I know that's not really what that situation is. So I'm putting in my SIM. I'm going to see how well this phone fires up on my Project Fi SIM. I'm pretty sure it's just going to default to T-Mobile. All right, it's time to boot it up. I don't even know if it's charged. So here we go. And there's a weedy little vibration on that. That didn't feel too good. We'll have to see if the haptics are any better once we're actually into the phone proper. So we're getting some questions. Does the wonky aspect ratio ever bother you over something a bit taller like 16:9 or 18:9? So using my KeyOne, it really didn't. It's terrible for multimedia, but I could still watch a video just fine. You're just gonna get some weird pillar boxing or letter boxing. What I like is you get so much more screen when you're using the keyboard. So that to me has been the big advantage. Now with phones going to 18:9, 19:9 super tall aspect ratios, that hasn't held as true in the current climate of taller, skinnier phones. But this and actual daily use, I actually kind of like it. It hasn't been a hindrance. I can totally appreciate where people are like, oh, I can't unsee it, or it's a problem. That hasn't proven to be the case for me. Oh, okay, cool. Project Fi. Yeah. And it booted up with the T-Mobile logo, so this shouldn't be an issue using my Project Fi SIM. Let's see. Okay. I just hope it doesn't get hung up on. There we go. Oh, nope, go back. Okay, that already concerns me too, just that little bit of a pause, of a lag, of a stutter, because it makes it tricky to... So I'm going to set this up as new. I'm going to go ahead and set this up as a fresh device, not carry over all of my baggage from my previous phones. Let's see, setup is new. We're searching for Wi-Fi networks. So there's mine, and I'm going to tilt the phone up so you can't see my password. Ooh, I do like this keyboard though. So the thing about a hardware keyboard is it does take your thumbs that little bit of... So, I mean, if you grew up with hardware keyboards, the acclimation is faster. But you know, if you've never used one before, it feels totally foreign, and it's definitely an alien feel. But I genuinely like the clicky tactile keys. People have been commenting on it. I've been seeing a bunch of videos, or a lot of reactions to the Key 2. Like, oh, can't BlackBerry just get rid of the hardware keyboard? Wow, it already has a Gmail for me? Man, Google is listening to me, but that is not the Gmail I want to use. All right, so again, I'm going to tilt this up and get that right there. I have a hard time typing and talking to you guys all at the same time. So it's not that I'm faster on a hardware keyboard, it's that I tend to be more accurate. So I can type way faster on a software keyboard, but I make more mistakes. And then that compounds over the course of a longer message. So if I have to type out something a little bit longer, I genuinely prefer maybe just gave you a hint as to what my password is for this email address. I genuinely prefer having the hardware keyboard. From Atella Marsilius, how durable can it be? Do you think it can stand a hard drop, and is it unlocked? So mine booted up with a T-Mobile screen, but it does seem to be using Project Fi no problem. That shouldn't be a surprise because it's basically just going to default to T-Mobile's network anyway. The thing about these phones, I feel a lot more comfortable using this without a case, but I do wish it had a screen protector on it. It just depends on what you're worried about breaking. So on an all-screen device, one fairly minor drop is going to crack probably both the screen and the back glass, depending on how it lands. This looks like it can absorb a little bit more punishment from the back, so you don't have to worry about breaking anything from the rear of the phone, but I'm not sure at this price tier, this feature set, and from this manufacturer, how rugged the internals are going to be. If they're slapping a BlackBerry label on it though, then I would hope that it's at least business grade durable, you know, like classic Motorola or classic IBM ThinkPads. It's not that it's built to withstand a construction site, but it should be a good daily companion phone. And the KeyOne, for me, even though I have a launch KeyOne, which has supposedly, and I've never tested this because I like this phone, does have this crimp point on the keyboard that was later fixed in future iterations of the KeyOne. This has served me very, very well. This has gone to multiple trade shows, it's traveled internationally, and there's not a mark on it, but I have not been easy on this phone. So I'm hoping the Key 2 provides me that similar level of durability. From Brandon Miniman, can you type faster on hardware than software keyboard? And I kind of mentioned that just a little bit ago. It's not that I can type faster in an individual message or a tweet or something like that, but I tend to type more accurately. Being able to feel where my thumbs are going, focusing on the screen, it's a little like touch typing on a keyboard. Would you move over to a touch screen for your main desktop and workstation to write long form documents? And I think a lot of people would be apt to say no, that's not something they're interested in. So I'm gonna go ahead and set up the fingerprint sensor here, but that means I have to hide my super secret password into the device. I can't have you hacking my mainframes. And good. Checking. Google. Meet your Google Assistant. And I'm going to skip this for now, just so I'm not throwing hot words all over the place. More. I agree. I signed my life away. Oh, did it skip my fingerprint? Oh, I guess it did. I agree. I'm going to... Okay, next. No, not now. No, not... Oh, is my stylus dead? My stylus cannot be dead. What is going on? Man. Are you stuck? Are you stuck on the Insider program? It's gonna make me do the Insider program? All right, hold on. This is a review unit. There we go. I don't know what that hiccup was. Diagnostics, no thanks. BlackBerry, you can figure your stuff out on your own. Setup is complete. Finish that. Okay, so this is the BlackBerry Launcher. Organize your space. Pop-up widget. And you've got indicators. Okay, cool. Your apps and widgets and productivity tab. This is the stuff that I usually disable. You know, like edge displays on a Samsung. Add apps, swipe back when finished. App permissions. Okay, got it. I'm going to go ahead and say okay for now, because I want to experience the Blackberry experience. Battery life should be longer using a 660 compared to the KeyOne 625. I hope so. Now, the 660 benchmarks a little closer to Qualcomm 820 range. So that should be a nice perk for BlackBerry owners. The 625 served me very well on this phone. And, you know, again, it's just not as quick. It's not as quick a chipset, but if the 660 can kind of abbreviate some of those little hitches and lags, then I think we'd be in good shape. My emails are kicking in. Storage 53.4 gigabytes free. And where are my security settings? You know what? I'm just gonna say fingerprint. Screen lock, fingerprint. There we go. So I guess when I put in my PIN, I didn't hit next when I should have. So I'm gonna train this out. Let's just see how this goes. Oh, again, I don't want you to see my super top secret code. All right, find the sensor. Now, I loved the fingerprint feel on the KeyOne. Putting it in the space bar is absolutely genius. And I'm gonna sit here. The training on this is one of the longer ones. I know, like on a Pixel, you hit the sensor twice and you're like, okay, it's done. I don't know why that was my voice for Google. Okay, we're Google. Here's your fingerprint, man. You do that, dude. All right, brah. And ooh, can the camera capture in RAW? That's a very good question. I think we can take a look at that as soon as I'm done doing my million taps to train my fingerprint sensor. Okay, we're done. So now I should be able to turn that off, turn that on. Got it. This is my DTEC rating is fair. Oh no, I'm not as secure as I could be. All right, let's try that again. I got that first little bounce pulse. Okay, that one worked fine. And that one worked fine. Good. All right, and then we've got just the normal BlackBerry home screens. I'll probably switch up this wallpaper just because I like something a little bit, I'd probably like something a little bit cleaner than that. And there's my BlackBerry hub. And you can tap the settings icon to show or hide tabs, reorder. Happy birthday, Rick Elliott. That's actually a friend of my wife. And let's see where we're at for 19 updates available. I don't think I'm going to run my updates just yet. We'll see how that goes. So this is the KeyOne. I mean, the Key2. That's another thing, too, is anytime there's a new phone out, it takes me a little while. You know, like when you go from saying, you know, my girlfriend to my fiance to my wife, and there's that carryover. Like I got so used to saying fiance when we were engaged that when she was my wife, I would slip. Haptic feedback on the fingerprint sensor. Yeah, feeling the little pulse on this fingerprint sensor, it's kind of weak. So this is a quiet sensor. Oh, did you notice that? I am already used to having the power button here. And when I reached for this to turn it off, I hit the quick key instead of reaching up here on the side. TCL, I am so happy you have changed. I'm so happy you have changed away from putting the power button on this side of the device. Let's see. Yeah, very good. Okay. Do you think it will be sold in US carriers? This was branded T-Mobile. I know I've got an international box, so I'm hoping we'll see some more partnerships than what we saw for the KeyOne. Can you test notification sound loudness? My Q5 has low notification sounds. So I think we can do that. Let's go into sounds. I don't know how well this is going to carry because I'm using a wireless lav. And this isn't going to be the highest fidelity microphone, but let's see where we are for notification volume. It's not bad. You know, I think it would cut through. Let me. Oh, but we're definitely getting rid of this. What's Thunderfoot? Oh, that's terrible. I don't even know if I can play these ringtones and not get copyright strikes, but these ringtones are awful. Okay, so the speaker is loud, but I think the speaker is kind of thin just based on a few of those ringtones. I'm definitely going to be spending some time doing a camera test and an audio test, so I'll have more to report once I've had a chance to use the phone. Oh, we did have a question about the camera and does it have RAW support? Welcome to the Blackberry Camera, take a picture or video, dual camera, locker mode, location data. Oh, I definitely don't want location data, but I do want to save to my memory card. And let's see what we've got. HDR auto. No, thank you. I don't want my photos to randomly look like unicorn barf. I want to tell my camera when I want my photos to look like unicorn barf. And let's see what's in the settings. Control mode auto. Focus before capture, locker mode, photo watermark, video resolution. We can take that up to 4K 30 frames per second, but then we lose enhanced video stabilization. You know what? I'm gonna leave it. Grid lines, I like my 3x3. Geolocation, I definitely want that off. Definitely mute sounds. It does not look photo quality fine. Yeah, I definitely want fine. I don't want focus before capture. That's always a pain in the ass. A right pain in the ass. And it does not look like I've got, oh, manual focus, shutter speed, thank you. It's very helpful, although I did write a book on all that. Yeah, I'm not seeing RAW capture, so it's not natively supported in the Blackberry Camera app, unfortunately. The best notification ringtone is the Hangouts one. I do like the Hangouts ringtone. RAW is going to be in the manual camera. I was in the manual camera, and I do not see RAW capture in the manual camera unless I'm missing it somewhere. Unless it automatically takes a RAW photo, but I doubt that they would do that. And let's get out of the way there. I'm also gonna have to change up the timeout. The capacitive keys are backlit, so that's nice. Oh, and I want to see something here, just how this feels. We're gonna fire up Chrome, continue. Okay, I got it. Let's go to a really awesome website. So I want to see how the scrolling feels on this keyboard. So, are you just loading, or is that really, there we go. That's a little more natural. It just took my site a second to load. And, oh, that feels good. So I think if you're aggressively swiping through a website, these capacitive keys will probably be just as easy to hit, but there is a little bit more of an edge to each of the keys. So I think, I don't know, this is all going to be a muscle memory thing. If my thumb feels where the edge of this keyboard is to prevent me from swiping over. Yeah, I don't know that really solves the problem. That was actually a very significant gripe on my KeyOne, is it was really easy to swipe up as you were scanning through an app or sliding through a web browser and hit one of your multitasking or back buttons, and then that takes you out of what you were doing. So that was kind of an annoying aspect of this layout. But the keys being a little bit bigger and broader, I'm hoping will alleviate some of that mess. So why don't we kick in? I've been getting a lot of questions in here, and because I've had to, I'm looking down at the phone and I can't keep looking up at that. I'm gonna switch over and let's see. From Goran Petrovic, honest question from someone that never used BlackBerry phones: why one buys a Key2 today? So if the Key2 continues in what I liked about the KeyOne, then this will probably be, again, one of my favorite communicator devices of the year. If you don't necessarily put a lot of, a high priority on having the absolute best multimedia experience, and you're okay with a mid-range camera, then this is likely going to be a monster performer for getting your work done, getting communication done, and I prefer this hardware setup for longer form messages. For me, I'm really anxious to see if this can continue on in the 2-day plus battery life that I had with my KeyOne under normal use, and that this thing was a monster when I was covering CES. So I had my SIM card in the KeyOne, and I was shooting all of my content from the V30. If I had had my SIM card in the V30, it absolutely would not have lasted the day with the video that I was shooting. So I'm really looking at the Key2 to fill that niche. And then also be a device that feels like it already feels like it's a little bit better refined. I like this build quality. When we look at phones like the Blackberry Key and we look at like a Galaxy Active, to me this is a put your money where your mouth is phone. If you're complaining about phones feeling all the same, if you're complaining about features like if you're complaining about smaller batteries, or if you don't like glass back devices, this becomes a solution that you can look at. This becomes something that you can talk about outside the norm of the sort of glass-on-glass sandwich all-screen trend that we're working towards. So let me see, because I also want to try. Man, fingerprint sensors do not like my left thumb. And let me long press on M and see what we get for M. Blackberry Hub shortcut. Pressing this key launches a keyboard shortcut. Other keyboard shortcuts are also available. Do you want to view other keyboard shortcuts? Yes. A short press. Oh, I don't know that I want to do short press. I think I want to stick with long presses. So we can lock screen, calendar, hub, settings, check call history, search, add task, call voicemail. What's on M? Hub. Yeah, I don't need the hub. Or is there anything on H? Okay, well let's make H the hub. Yeah, suggested apps, hub. All right, so for M, let's edit this, and I think I want to do just a speed dial. Yes, allow, grant permissions, allow, allow, allow. Skip. Oh, come on. All right, hold on. This stuff is always crazy, annoying. Oh, I do have to sign into all of this hub stuff. All right, hold on. Okay, I got it. I got it. I got it. Oh no, it's actually firing up the hub. Okay, so I need to. If I super long press it, will it get me back to that screen? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up M to be to quick call my wife. And that is one of the things that I like about BlackBerry is its ability to, if you care about customization, it's crazy customization. Every one of these keys becomes a shortcut. I'm gonna have to figure that out later. Let's see if there are a few more questions, and I'll sort that out later and have that ready for the full review. This is from Richard Jackson. Hoping this will come to Verizon. Me too. And from Sherrill, oh, I don't know that that's. Try the special key. Are there pre-built shortcuts loaded on the phone? So the convenience key, quickly access your favorite shortcuts. So you assign the convenience key, but there were I think about 5 or 6 shortcuts on the keyboard pre-installed. Again, every single key can have a short button press and a long button press, which again, it's a very classic notion of customization, that you can make this phone exactly your phone, and it will be completely different than anyone else's phone. Do you think this phone is way too highly priced? From Kasuf. I'm sorry, especially from this distance and my 30-year-old eyes. 30. Do you think this phone is way too highly priced? I don't. I think this is a niche phone, but it looks like it will be the king of a niche. So if we're going to have a fair conversation about mid-rangers in the $500 space, and we're going to talk about the types of features that will be that will appeal to someone who would consider this phone, I don't think $650 is a bridge too far. It's $100 less than a lot of your smaller flagship phones. It does come with perks. If you're a traveler and you don't want to have to worry about battery life over a long weekend of travel or 3 days, then this is going to be a good fit for you. If you want those enhanced security features, this is going to be a good fit for you. If you were looking at having the absolute best top tier gaming performance for PUBG or for Fortnite, you want to get an Asus. I mean, that to me seems like an easy distinction to make. So if we can acknowledge that there can be specialty phones that are all about content creation and having amazing screens, if Red can deliver a product in that space and have their own sort of little pocket of the phone community, then I think BlackBerry deserves the same recognition, or at least just the same potential in that conversation. More than just having that, like, oh, well, it's a nostalgia throwback device. All they're doing is nostalgia for the keyboard. Who was it that I heard? Was it DTNS, the Daily Tech News Show? And they couldn't get over nostalgia. That was the only thing they could talk about with BlackBerry coming out with the Key 2. Or just some of the other guys out there that are super hip, like Pixel fans. Like, oh, who needs a QWERTY keyboard? I can't remember who it was. I retweeted them, but like their whole editorial on the Key 2 announcement was, can't BlackBerry kill this already? And I think we're missing the point. I want to be able to have some difference in the smartphone landscape. Over the next year, every single phone we're going to have is going to be a near bezel-less glass-on-glass sandwich. And this is a phone that feels like it's made for grown-ups. It's not shiny, pretty, glittery glass. It's a nice grippy back, very nice metal edges, beveled edges that are feeling a lot cleaner than the edges that line up into the KeyOne. And so I'm seeing good evolution here. I think this deserves recommendation so long as we're being honest on who this phone is for. From Amin, the previous gen looks nicer. So this is going to be a matter of taste. Hold on, let me switch back. We can actually do a quick side-by-side. So this is going to be a matter of personal preference. Whether or not you like curved designs or boxy designs. So I like the KeyOne. I think I like the Key 2 better. And the Key 2 is reminding me of some of my absolute favorite devices from the Windows Nokia days. Like this edging and these corners feel a lot like a Lumia 930. In fact, if you guys hold on, I'm going to put these down. I should be able to keep talking because I am on a wireless lav, and hopefully I don't knock over a lighting rig. But let's see. I think I have... no, that's not it. I know this is awesome live streaming right here where I'm talking way far. Here we go. So my camera's going to wig out because it is the electric neon green Lumia 930. But we can put these up together. Yeah, if BlackBerry cribbed from anyone, they cribbed from Nokia on this build, and I dig that. Oh yeah, they did a lot. From antenna bands, I just got some kind of notification. Oh, finish setting up my BlackBerry. I will, BlackBerry, I promise. So yeah, if they cribbed from anyone, the cornering, the edging, the bevels, the antenna bands, the button configuration, and the button style, the button housing, although the Key 2 has sort of shiny metal on the buttons. If you're gonna knock off anyone, this is not a bad look to knock off. So like I said, the KeyOne, I think the KeyOne looks clean, but coming into the corners, I don't necessarily love how this rubbery material meets the metal. I like that it finishes off a bit better with the metal coming up to meet the rubbery material on the Key 2. That is super nitpicky. That is not something that I would say should make any significant purchasing decision for you over, just what phone you were going to shop anyway. I think a few people might be bummed by the headphone jack being on top, but we do have these matched dual output speaker chambers on the bottom. Not that it seems like it's going to make a tremendous amount of difference. I don't think this is going to be... I'm super spoiled by the LG G7. The G7 speaker is just so nice that everything starts to feel like a big step down. Here, let's see. How much RAM and storage left after system usage? That's a very good question. And let me see. Actually, you know what? Let me install Ada. Ida? How do you guys say that? Ida 64? Do you turn it into a word? I'm not sure. So we're going to let that install, and while we install, I'm going to take another question here. From Polar Bear, probably to someone who misses their bold or curve. So what's funny is my wife loved her Blackberry Curve. Just that was her phone. She ran that phone into the ground. Okay, so total storage space, total storage free space, sorry, 49 gig, 48.95, available memory 2.4 gig. So there is a lot of stuff running in the background on the Key 2. BlackBerry Hub and all of those other services. So what I'm going to be happy about is all of those things were running in the background on the KeyOne, and this thing only had 3 gigabytes of RAM. So I'm expecting once the phone gets up and running and I've loaded my favorite services, that this should run smoother. I'll be very disappointed if it feels the same with a faster chipset and twice the RAM. From Fat Produce, there's something attractive about the Art Deco design of the KeyOne. Well, and especially when we look at the keyboards, when we look at the way that the keyboard is separated by those divider lines. So yeah, I'm glad you said Art Deco. That totally is, especially how that chrome trim cuts into the edges of the side casing. And we don't have any of that with the Key 2. In fact, the Key 2 does have a separate panel. So that doesn't necessarily look as nice as the KeyOne. I'll definitely give the KeyOne the win here, just that there's this hard break, whereas this looks more unibody, even though it really isn't. Let me see. From Mustafa, performance with the KeyOne degraded with time. So I had sort of a nuanced relationship with the KeyOne. The KeyOne would run as my daily driver for short bursts. Like, for example, driving out to CES, covering CES with Newegg, my KeyOne was my main phone. And then it kept my SIM card for about a week after I got done with CES. It's just a pain to switch over from new phone to new phone, especially things like your smartwatch. The way that Android Wear ties you to a phone prevents me from switching phones as aggressively as I used to, just because it's such a pain in the butt. But I digress. I would routinely wipe this phone out and clean it. That is not how most people are regularly going to use this phone. And once I had cleaned it up, I would also disable a lot of the BlackBerry UI elements. And in fact, I was running Nova Launcher just like I do on a lot of other phones, and that seems to help keep performance a bit more consistent. But this was never a speed demon. So it's one of those things, like, the more you load on a computer and the harder you use that computer, the more junk it's going to accrue, and that's going to affect performance over time. I bet if I were using it mainline, like if I had purchased this phone and just run it nonstop for 2 years straight, the end of those 2 years, probably I wouldn't have been very happy. Okay, let's see. So the Key series equals Nokia communicator replacement. It kind of feels like they were aiming for a very specific kind of design. This isn't the most BlackBerry design. If I'm recalling previous Blackberries, this feels a little bit like a Porsche design. If you remember, those Porsche design handsets were always a little harder edged, a little bit brighter metal, squarer look, squarer keys, as opposed to your normal curved, rounded, curvy BlackBerry. But for this type of aspect ratio device, I'm definitely seeing some Nokia elements. Whether or not they arrived there on their own or if they just hired a Nokia designer and said, hey, add a keyboard, who's to say? I have no confirmation on that. From Leo on Periscope, if the Key 2 had a stylus, I'd buy it tomorrow. So I already had one goofy misstep with my Wacom, but just for kind of scanning around the UI, it seems to be. Why am I holding it up? Let me go back to top down. So I had issues before. So let's see. Oh, the capacitive keys work. So the only thing is this isn't going to be pressure sensitive, but for basic navigation and getting through apps and using it with like a fine point touch, this could work. And because I also want to see, let's get out of the way there. Oh, actually, is it the Updates app? I can never remember. I have way too many phones on the brain, and I'm still wrapping up my Oneplus 6. Where is Support Center? Actually, let me just come into settings and see. So, you know, the Wacom stylus works pretty well. Let me see if there are any, because this has been out for... Oh, no, that's not what I want. Let's see system updates. So other reviewers have had this phone for almost 2 weeks. I just got it yesterday, so I don't know if there are any updates coming out. I was a little disappointed with updates on the KeyOne. I have a pre-release launch KeyOne, so my experience is not the norm for most KeyOne owners. But the KeyOne fell into that trap of having different models for different regions that got different levels of support. And unfortunately, I think if you bought Unlocked in the United States, you had to manually go and flash a number of your updates to get them up to speed, at least from what I saw reading through BlackBerry forums. And sometimes that just didn't seem to work. Let's see. What kind of mic do you use? Awesome sound quality on the scope. I am using the Samsung Go Mic Mobile. This is Wireless Lab. I have a full review on youtube.com/JuanBagnell. I think the Key 2 would be perfect for cosplaying using it as a tricorder. Hold on, let's test your assertion, because I always have my tricorder at the ready. And I don't know, man. I think the tricorder looks a fair bit more high-tech, but oh man, we can't use a tricorder. Look at these bezels. These are like the worst bezels ever. How could you... I'm gonna throw up in my mouth. These are such terrible bezels. It does fold up nice and compact, but it's a lot thicker. I mean, I don't know that you'd really want to carry this around unless you had one of those cute little Velcro pockets. No, what is it? Spandex pockets on your Starfleet Command uniform. But I would imagine that because this thing is so thick, yeah, she thick. Look at that bump right there. Because this is so thick, it probably gets even better battery life than the Key 2. So that's probably something you'd want to consider for your, tricorder or smartphone purchase. If you only had to own one, I think the 24th century technology would probably be better, even though the screen is obviously inferior. It's probably an LCD. Actually, it's just a piece of plastic with a little light behind it. But, if it's not an OLED, it's probably terrible. From Richard Hirsch, Nova is cool but doesn't keep up with the times anymore. It feels old. Material 2.0 is here and it just looks dated. It's more I'm a creature of habit. I fire up Nova and I go load my home and it just populates everything that I want. And I know other launchers could probably be doing something similar. It's just it still works for me, so I've just been keeping up with it. And I tend to keep my home screens really simple now. From Jordis, just curious, how does it feel to play PUBG Mobile on the KeyOne Key 2? Probably terrible. I would not look to these phones for any kind of legit gaming setup. A number of people saying the KeyOne still looks better. So from Paul Tech, what's up, Juan? Are you going to use a case with your Key 2? The back camera does protrude out just a bit. I am going to try and use this phone naked because I had such good experiences using my KeyOne naked. There was the flip cover case for the KeyOne, and that was made by Toomey. So that was kind of a cool label to show off. I don't know if you guys are bag whores like I am, because I loves me a good bag. But Toomey is an awesome bag manufacturer, bag maker, bag designer. And so I loved having the Toomey on there, but I did not like having the flip case. I'm just not a flip cover case. But where I was concerned with the KeyOne, and thankfully nothing happened. The screen still looks great, even though I have run this phone really hard. I am gonna try and find a screen protector for the Key2. I've just not been having the best experiences with my other smartphones, and I've been going through tons of screen protectors, like cracking them left and right. So I don't know if that's just a change in how I'm using phones, or if somehow these phones are really getting more fragile, but I will be looking to at least protect the screen on my Key2 and then see how we go with the rest of it. I'm okay with getting scratches, nicks, bumps, bruises on the back of a phone with a rubbery material. They're not gonna show, the phone's gonna age better over time. And even though the camera bump does protrude a little bit, I don't think this is gonna be much of an issue. The camera protruded a little on the KeyOne also. So that didn't seem to be any significant detriment to using it as a daily driver, mostly naked. Let's see, from Karthik, when will your camera review, when's your camera review going to happen? So I am actively wrapping up the OnePlus 6 camera review, and then I'm gonna start with the audio review for the Key2. We are gonna be under embargo. So I'll just share this with you guys. There is a weight limit on putting out full reviews. So I'm probably gonna do the run of audio review, full review, and camera review over the next week or so. I might do like a, hey, 5 things you didn't know about your Blackberry Key2 video, just to kind of keep up with some SEO. But I have a couple other projects that I'm going to be working on, so I might be going quiet on the Key2 until the embargo hits for all of the full reviews. Let's see. From LGH, has he talked about loot boxes already? Not that kind of live stream. I'll be cranky and talk about net neutrality in one of my podcasts. Is the KeyOne still running Nougat? Yeah, my KeyOne is still running Nougat. I don't know that it ever got a proper Oreo update. I'll have to see. Let's see. Will there be a CDMA model? I don't believe so. I think they're going to stick with GSM for this generation too, because of manufacturing costs and whether or not they really get carrier support. And I have my Project FiSim in there. I seriously doubt it's got the radios or the hardware. I mean, I don't even know. I'd have to look it up. You guys probably already know, and I bet you can tell me, but I doubt that there's any CDMA support for Sprint in there. So I'm going to be using the Key2 just basically on T-Mobile. Let's see. From Jordis, near bezel-less displays are becoming a hassle to look for a proper screen protector and case combo. I will be doing a video on the LG G7 because I'm running into that problem, and the folks over at Whitestone Dome took pity on me complaining online. So I do have a kit that I'm going to be installing on that to see how that goes. It looks like a crazy chemistry set, and the glue that they use smells really bad. So my tiny little office is not going to be pleasant to be in. How does the KeyOne or Key2 support accented characters? I know it's cool for English, but for other languages, I would imagine it be a pain to use. So I don't remember how to do this on a Blackberry, but I do believe that there is a way. If you go in through your symbols, maybe? I honestly can't remember how to do this. I'm pretty sure there is a way, though, through symbols, through the symbol dialog to get to accented characters. And I can show you guys, when you're in the keyboard, so if I come here, you see you get these. I don't want the Google app to use my search. I'm going to disable that. So when you're using the keyboard, you will see this little top row, and you can, oh, that's my, ooh, I don't know what that is. That looks fancy. How do I get it to pop back up, though? Those are all my emojis. Is it really not going to do it? There is a way to pull up the software keyboard so that you can get to different types of characters. I just can't figure it out right now because I'm doing it live. Let's see. I've got a couple other questions here that I wanted to get into. So sorry, Richard Hirsch. There is an answer to your question. I just can't find it in the moment. The key to, where is it? Okay. Hi Juan, a phone for content creating, a phone for long form communication, a phone for gaming. Should a consumer consider multiple phones that perform well for each function that they want to do? So I used to be a pretty big proponent of having a weekender, at least. Like you could have a really nice phone and then you could have a super cheap phone you know, just like, hey, I want to take it to the beach and I don't care if it gets messed up. In the current climate, in all of my liberal guilt, I'm getting a little crankier about electronic waste and how much of this stuff is ending up in landfills, how people aren't really taking care of these things, how they're built to be disposable instead of, you know, something that you can repair and then give to someone else and it still be a functional device a year after that phone came out. So now I'm becoming a bit more inclined to say, focus on the key elements of what it is that you want from a phone. If you want an awesome communicator, then take a look at then also getting another device for some kind of content consumption, gameplay, or content creation, like a standalone camera or something like that. And I think the 660 would probably be powerful enough to do some light video editing. I'm gonna be running Power Director on it just to see how it performs. I have no expectations that it's gonna be awesome, but you could offload photos and videos from a standalone camera, get them into here if that's really what you wanted to focus on while on the go. Or if you were just really into audio, because I don't imagine that this is gonna be a top tier headphone jack either, is you get your KeyOne and then you separate that out with a standalone media player like my Fio or that Echo Box that Michael Fisher reviewed, something that does a very good job of broadcasting your audio, or of playing your audio, and you can kind of keep those things separate. And then when you switch out from your phone, you still have this solution that takes care of you really well for that one specific thing. From Motesham Ali, do you think it looks better than the KeyOne? I do because it looks kind of like a Nokia. Oh, this is a good one from Cheryl. Are the metal sides proper metal or are they painted? Wonder if long term you get nicks or paint chips. I did really well with the sides on the KeyOne. I don't have any serious nicks or dents or scratches. So I hope that the Key2 is going to be the same. But when it comes to gadget destruction porn, we're all just going to wait for Jerry Riggs everything to brutalize and molest a Key2, and then we'll get the straight answer as to what everything is and how it's constructed and whether or not it's repairable. So I won't be doing any torture testing like that on my Key2. Have you ever removed Whitestone protector once it's installed? I haven't ever installed one, so this is going to be my first chemical glue glass screen protector, and I'm actually surprisingly anxious about that. It'll probably go fine, but we'll see how it goes. From Peter Hayton, did you see the Key2 commercial? I have not seen it yet. I'm gonna see what that just does. Long press the letter, try to long press A, just hold the letter and it'll pop up with options. So I'm gonna be going back through and actually remapping some of them though. I don't want my BlackBerry hub on M because I want M to be call my wife, because her name starts with M. From Sean Vega Velez, would putting a case on it be a sin? I am an atheistic agnostic that I don't think so, but I am going to try and use it without a case to see how it holds up. The system sounds orgasmic. I can't follow you down that rabbit hole. From Moomin, why would you use a smartphone naked? What if the camera is secretly spying on you? You wouldn't want that kind of picture uploaded. Waka waka, waka waka, Moonim. But yeah, you know, I have actually, you know, been in the middle of doing something and then had to pick up a phone, and you're probably not wrong there. The NSA probably got a full peek. From James Vincent, still at work but watching. I'm glad to have your support there, buddy. All right. Is it me or the Key2 looks taller when compared with the KeyOne? It is a fraction of a millimeter taller. Here again, I can actually like show you guys. So if I put these side by side and I try to line them up as best I can with some sort of guide, you can see that the Key2 has just this tiny little edge right there. That's negligible for me, especially considering how much larger, again, let's line them all up, how much larger these individual keys are. So that teeny little bit of extra lip at the top of the phone results in a pretty significant increase in each individual key size. I know, I don't remember what they said the actual metric was, something like 50% larger keys. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to typing on this just to see how it holds up. And already my thumbs like the shape of these keys a little bit better than these. I like the matte finished plastic a little bit better than I like the glossy plastic on this. So far, a lot of these little ergonomic touches are very welcome over the KeyOne, even for liking the KeyOne as much as I did. Let's see. From Nafis, which tech reviewer will you be collaborating with next? I actually have a list of a couple people that I'm going to be trying to have on for some long-form podcast conversations, and I think I'm going to start with my co-host on Newegg, Trisha. Just see if we can nail down some time just to chat, because I haven't done a real long chat with her in a while. On camera. I mean, we host a show together, but it's still nice to check in and just kind of see, hey, how you doing? How's your tech? Maybe that'll be the name of the show. How's your tech? Treat yourself. Does the Key2 still a good one for buy, even though there is aspect ratios, full displays, notches, etc., etc.? And I kind of mentioned this before. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all solution, and it makes me really frustrated when trends bandwagon before consumers have a chance to vote with their wallets. If you're not a fan of glassback phones and notches, there aren't a lot of options for you out there to consider. Now, I'm not saying that this phone should automatically be on your list of devices just because it doesn't have a glass back and it doesn't have a notch. It's got some pretty sizable bezels. It's a forehead and a really big keyboard chin. But this is another one of those opportunities for us to really fit the right gadget to the right consumer. And I know there are people out there, especially people in the business, corporate, medical communities. This could be an amazing device for government work. Again, IT departments have an option here that is wholly unique for getting work done and also not letting their employees get too distracted with tons of videos and tons of games, because you're just not going to want to play a ton of games on this kind of a phone. That to me is something worth talking about. And then I have noticed KeyOnes out in the wild. In fact, I had a really lovely conversation with a nurse, a male nurse. He pulled his KeyOne out. We were getting into an elevator, and I just said, hey man, that looks like a really cool phone. And for 4 floors at UCLA, he could not stop gushing about how much he loved his KeyOne. So there is a person out there that this is the right phone for. I don't like playing that game of, well, it's just nostalgia. For old people who like hardware keyboards, there are going to be people who are, this is the absolute perfect phone for them. And to discount that, I think is sad that we've gotten into this sort of self-reinforcing cycle in tech commentary that only 2 phones can be the winners and everyone else is a better luck next time. Is the Snapdragon 660 really cut for blazing fast performance? I'm not saying gaming, but launching apps, multitasking camera. No, it's really not. The 600 series is going to be all about, sort of finding a good performance to battery life ratio. So you look at the 3,500 milliamp hour battery in a phone which costs $100 less than a Galaxy S9, the little Galaxy S9, or a little less than $100, like $80 less than a Galaxy S9. Galaxy S9 is going to do almost everything better in terms of performance aspects, right? No one's going to question that. But the 660 should run a little bit more power efficient, and the phone has a larger battery than the Galaxy S9, so I'm hoping we get to that 2 legit days of use that I had on my KeyOne. Again, it's okay to have compromises. Every phone has a compromise, but we just have to be intellectually honest about what those compromises are. So the Key2 might be the perfect phone for 10 people out there. I want to acknowledge that those 10 people should go out, look for this phone and find it, and not just get another iPhone or another Galaxy because that's what's popular. Not sure if you've already talked about this, but have you tried playing games on the KeyOne or Key2? I mean, I did on my KeyOne reviews and my KeyOne videos, and it's not great. Especially it's not great because you've got to reach over the keyboard. So if you're playing any game which requires, that kind of activity, you're kind of straining. And you already have stumpy enough thumbs. That's not a good look for me. Let's see. Did you miss the Blackberry toolbar, the trackpad, and the extra buttons beside it on the KeyOne? I really didn't. I liked Blackberries, but I was not a Crackberry fiend. I came out of Windows Mobile, so I really loved my Windows Mobile phones. And so there were always those fights. We used to have a three-way fight. Were you a BlackBerry kid, a Palm OS kid, or a Windows Mobile kid? And I was a Windows Mobile kid. I liked BlackBerry. I did not like Palm. I thought Palm was way too restrictive, and in the same ways that I did not like the iPhone when the iPhone first launched. So while I spent a little time on a BlackBerry, Windows Mobile was really my jam because it was more capable and more like a desktop operating system. I used to think that that was a benefit. Most consumers disagreed with me. So that was, you know, this is, for me, this is a fine balance of Android software and BlackBerry hardware features that we haven't had before. Will those keys work for someone with Shrek-sized fingers? So I've gotten the question before, and honestly, I can't answer that. I would say see if you can get one and play with it to see first. I think someone with absolutely ginormous hands might have some of the same issues that I have with diminishing bezels and larger screen-to-body ratios. And that's when you type out to the edges, it requires you to hold the phone in a very specific way, which I don't have a problem with because my thumbs are relatively compact. But you do have to pull in to reach these keys on the side. So I can probably do that easier than someone with much, much larger hands. So that's definitely going to be a fit and finish issue that you'd have to check out for yourself. From Peter Hayton, doesn't the Key 2 still have a very specific niche though? I'll be interesting to hear if the cursor, I don't know, the Periscope comment got cut off. Oh, if the cursor works in Power Director. Yeah, I'll be playing with that too. Unfortunately, that's probably something I shouldn't share until I'm ready to set up the full review, or else I just fire it up live and check it out right now. From Jordis, you need a degree in rocket science to apply a white stone dome protector. Like I said, I am a little nervous about that. Oh, Jordis, 20% taller keys. So yeah, the keys are about 20% larger. Let's see. From James Vincent, absolutely. How's your tech? I'm really not going to try and do Aziz. That's not something I want to be linked with. From Daniel, will your next phone be the red hydrogen one? I'm probably going to sit out the hydrogen one. I have so much going on right now. I'm not necessarily looking at what Red's going to do for their first phone. From HT99, did the KeyOne slow down noticeably after a year? So I mentioned this. My usage on the KeyOne was probably a little bit different than someone who just owned one phone. So I didn't have those problems, but then I was also regularly cleaning my KeyOne out to keep it running sharp. From Farid, the real question is, can you put a keychain to a Key 2 so I won't forget to take my house key when I play with my Key 2? Nope, unfortunately there is no lanyard that you can put one on there. Again, there are things like that on phones like the Galaxy Active, but no one seems to want to talk about stuff like that. From Druvanch, I've mispronounced your name and I apologize. The 636 works great on the Redmi, which has a super heavy skin on it, so the 660 should be really good too, especially since the skin on BlackBerry phones isn't particularly intense. And this is one of those things, again, it's going to be a personal preference. How much performance, stutter, or interference can you live with personally? So you'll read through people in reviews, oh, Samsungs are the laggiest phones ever, and then someone has to chime in, my Samsung never lags. And you're talking probably about radically different styles of usage and radically different behavior. What I demand out of a phone is probably a lot higher than what a normal general consumer who maybe Facebooks and Twitters a little is going to demand out of their phone. But I'm also not apt to be too cranky about the occasional hitch or stutter. The more expensive the phone gets, the crankier I get if a phone really hangs up on me, really locks up on me. Even at $650, I am expecting the Key 2 to have a couple pain points or a couple lag points, And as long as I'm walking into that honest, I mean, I'll report on it and I'll definitely tell you guys when I encounter that stuff. But to me, that's not a deal breaker for what this phone is targeted at. Just if that's a deal breaker for you, you'll want to know about it. So that's kind of where I'm that's where I'm approaching performance from this discussion. I think if this is going to give me at least Qualcomm 820 level performance in general, then I think most people are going to be happy. In fact, BlackBerry fans are definitely going to be happy with that level of performance in a mobile phone. From Peter Hayton, this phone just does one job really well rather than everything okay, and I do appreciate that approach. 2017 was an awesome year for specialty phones, and it looks like we're going to continue on that trend. Obviously, a Galaxy S series and an iPhone, whatever, iPhone 10, 11, iPhone 9, I don't know what they're going to call their next iPhone. Those are going to appeal to the mass majority of people for branding, labeling, marketing, and just the fact that they do genuinely do everything good, everything well. But if you want something specific, now's a really good time to stray from that Samsung-Apple dichotomy and look for something that's going to be a real tight fit for you. From MMM, which for you is the best mobile OS ever made? Definitely Windows Phone. Windows Phone 8.1 was my absolute favorite UI. The live tiles, the balance of customization versus having a sort of a fairly locked down device in an Apple-like way for support. I thought that was the best balance between iOS and Android. I loved the keyboard. I loved the tile interface and the panels for how apps would slide through their interfaces. I really feel like that was the most elegant solution for making a user interface that didn't infringe on copyright and trademarks from Apple and Google. And it's just a shame that we don't have a third place. When BlackBerry was at its heyday, we had three. We had Palm, Windows, well, actually four. We had Palm, Windows, Symbian, and BlackBerry. Palm, Windows, Symbian, and BlackBerry. And now we've got two. And I think we've gotten kind of stale, and I think the world is duller for only having two players. Let's see. Some other questions about other devices, questions about audio. My audio reviews are going to be going to my Patreon, so if you want the full scoop on audio quality, speaker quality, headphone quality, check out patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. Hear me scroll down a little bit further. Some G6 and V20 questions, more V20 commentary, and from HT99, oh wait, no, from Richard Hirsch, it's only Microsoft's fault that they stopped pushing Windows Phone and rebooted it like 3 times. Oh yeah, I mean, Microsoft was definitely key to their own failure, especially for trying to treat a mobile OS more like a desktop OS. Like, we'll update it every 3 years and then wreck everything that had been built before, and we're not gonna put yearly flagship phones out there. We'll put out the 930, which is a beautiful, awesome phone, and then wait 2.5 years before we put out the 950, which was kind of a plasticky piece of garbage. From Jordis, how's BlackBerry aftermarket service? What if you want your phone repaired? So the KeyOne did have some issues at launch. There were some concerns over the build quality. There were bend tests where people on this point, right by the keyboard, where the keyboard meets the screen, apparently on these first generation, this first batch of devices, how that was all pieced together was really easy to separate the screen from the keyboard. As far as I know, TCL and BlackBerry were pretty aggressive about responding to those concerns, changing the manufacturing slightly on the phone that had already been launched. And I believe that those people who went out there to try and get that issue addressed got replacement devices. I've heard pretty good things that BlackBerry is still trying to be a relevant player in people's lives to that degree. Again, offering decent or reasonable support. But you probably want to check out more BlackBerry specific forums, because then those people who are more apt to complain about individual issues and problems, you'd be able to see whether or not they had those issues taken care of. I didn't run into anything that I needed help, support, or replacement on my KeyOne, and I'm kind of hoping that I'm the same with Key2. From HT99, what's wrong with BlackBerry and major updates? They're even worse than LG in that regard. That one I do have an answer for. When I sat down with TCL and BlackBerry representatives before the launch of the KeyOne, I'm still disappointed in this. I'm not excusing this, but there is an explanation. for from their perspective, they are not an Android manufacturer. They are using Android to make a BlackBerry phone. I don't believe we'll see BlackBerry aggressively pushing operating system updates because they're putting a significant amount of software developer talent towards security features for their platform. They view this as their platform. You get the benefit of Android apps, Android services that now, the whole thing that they couldn't do with BlackBerry OS X. But as far as they're concerned, this is a BlackBerry device, less Google device, less an Android device. So for what they're doing to add that layer of security above what Google builds into Android or what's built into AOSP, they're not looking to reinvent the wheel on every single decimal point update and every single major operating system update. I don't think that's the right course of action, but I understand where they're coming from and where they're putting their resources. They're putting their resources on their own unique brand of corporate business grade security. And that means whenever there's a little update out here or a decimal point or a larger update out there, it forces them to do a lot of legwork to meet their standards for security to get that update rolled out, cleaned, sanitized, and ready for BlackBerry consumption. And I think they're also looking at the little elements and tweaks that they've made to their UI. They're really wanting you to look at this like it's the hub. I mean, the hub is a perfect example. There are so many different aspects of notifications and where you go for information on an Android phone. And I think the notion of putting all of your media and all of your contacts and all of your social media and notifications into one big strip panel is an antiquated idea. I mean, HTC walked away from it. Samsung only ever really dipped their toe. I don't think they ever went whole hog on give us all of your socials and we'll put them in one feed for you. But it's not really how I choose to interact with phones. When I'm looking for tweets and replies, I don't want to see emails in that list. When I'm looking for text messages, I don't want to see Facebook notifications in the same list. So my brain needs to compartmentalize those different types of communication. But that's also, again, BlackBerry has a very specific focus going on for what they're trying to achieve. And that's definitely going to run Android enthusiasts. It's going to rub Android enthusiasts the wrong way. The Android enthusiasts like Android. I think BlackBerry executives are looking at this as some kind of concession. They would have preferred you use BlackBerry OS X. They weren't really looking at how can we join the market and make an Android device, but we need the apps. So I think that's where they've ended up. From Geo, I don't know what you're trying to ask me here, Geo. BlackBerry's physical keyboard hardly costs much. They are taking as much of a premium as Apple, maybe more, right? Oh, I see what you're saying. So no, this keyboard I would imagine would add significantly to the cost of a phone because you have a screen and then you have a capacitive touch sensor keyboard with the fingerprint sensor built into the spacebar. And then you actually have to run an insane amount of durability testing on a keyboard. So for a touchscreen device, if you go to Pocket now, I actually did a 360-degree video at the Oppo manufacturing plant. And what they do to test phones is incredible. So you have like this little rubber poker and it's poking a phone screen thousands of times to see where failures might happen. Well, now you got to do that on a touch screen and on a full QWERTY keyboard for each key to get a sense of, in every manufacturing batch, how many phones might potentially fail and in what way might they fail. That's a lot. And let's not forget that, a lot of that premium that Apple builds into it, Apple has the Apple tax because they also have to support brick and mortar shops. So depending on what it is that you're into, you're getting as much phone, maybe more phone than you might get on an iPhone. Especially if we're comparing it against the smaller iPhone 8. The iPhone 8 is definitely a more powerful device, but the keyboard does cost more to implement and manufacture. It still has a headphone jack, so that's built in there too. And then you have almost, definitely twice the battery, what is the battery capacity on the iPhone 8? I think it's around twice the battery capacity of the iPhone 8. So that battery costs money to include. So I'm not too concerned about the price point on the Key 2. It's just making sure that we find that the Key 2 really is the right fit for you. That's really the only question I have. Who is this phone absolutely for? And so far, if you liked the Key 1, I think you're really gonna like the Key 2. Let's see. Would it be a dream if Microsoft would release a launcher for Android with Windows Phone-like interface? Actually, I think someone asked one of the Windows Phone team members about that, and he gave some specious answer about, or nebulous answer about, well, live tiles tied into individual apps, and that's how you got notifications, and we can't do that, and I don't think that's true. So I think someone does make a launcher, a skin that looks like live tiles. But again, Android is just different enough that that's not how I interact with an Android phone, so my brain doesn't like the pairing as much of Windows Phone style big button live tiles and Android system UI. Hold on, let's see. I'm getting questions about Surfaces. From Geo, have the Trump tax cuts helped your business? No, not even a little bit. I'm not rich. Only rich people get helped by that kind of stuff. Let's see. From Geo, are you able to use the 6-inch 18:9 phones with one hand? With some difficulty. Yeah, I have to dance the phone around a lot in my hands to use a tall all-screen device. From Kobe Tate, I liked Linus's tour of the Oneplus facility showing the same kind of thing, but my video is in 360. So it's a 360 tour, so you can walk around just like I was and look everywhere instead of just having the camera. No, it's fine. Linus is a cool guy. He's okay. Seeing Linus's tour, I thought my phone was already dropped numerous times before I even unboxed it. This is what I don't think people understand. So you've got this enormous amount of human labor putting these phones together, and then every day these manufacturers take sometimes hundreds of devices out of the manufacturing, out of the shipping, and run incredible, crazy, destructive tests to see whether or not that batch of phones is likely to survive. Again, I get really cranky about things like e-waste, but if you want your phone to have the highest degree of survivability, that's what we have to do. So the costs associated with that, both in materials, in labor, and just in money, is absolutely insane. Geo, how did you learn video editing? By doing it a whole lot. From Goran Petrovic, don't mind me one, I'm just crazy. I saw the Meizu 16 and I can't get over the fact that if that was HTC 12, it would have been my perfect phone. A lot of us were surprised by taking the wraps off the 12. I'm not gonna fault you for being lit up about that phone. From System 64, have you cracked a glass phone in your life? So on this personal channel, on my personal channel, I took for granted the Note 5. So the Note 4 is still one of my all-time favorite phones ever made for having grown-up sensibilities, metal trim and a grippy back. Note 4, one of the best phones ever made. So I had the Note 5 and I was using it exactly the same way that I was using the Note 4. And you can see on this channel, it wasn't very old when it slid out of a pocket because it was glass and I didn't have a case on it, because at that time I used all my phones naked. I hated cases. And it not only cracked part of the glass, but it destroyed the internals of that phone, falling from about waist height onto concrete. So the screen went all purple, nothing worked anymore. I broke actually my daughter broke the LG V30, but taking a similar hit on the V30, which did bust the glass up by the earpiece on the V30, everything still worked. So those types of things I take very seriously when a phone gets busted. I think the one that was most upsetting was the iPhone 8 Plus. If you remember when Tim Cook was out showing around the iPhone 10 before its launch, when Tim Cook was out taking interviews before the iPhone 10 was officially revealed, you would see this phone kind of scooch out of his pocket whenever he sat down. That's exactly what happened to me on the iPhone 8. There weren't cases available to buy when we got the iPhone 8 in hand, because I had it shipped to me and I couldn't make it into an Apple store that day. 2 days after I got the phone, I had already shot a whole bunch of video of it. I was doing a comparison video for the cameras on the Note 8 and the iPhone 8, just to kind of see, how do they compare Samsung versus Apple. That's always great clickbaity video. And I was crouched using the Note 8, and the iPhone 8 slowly slid out of my pocket. It fell from about a foot into mud. Under that mud was some concrete, and it dented the frame and cracked the front glass. That's not a bad drop. If your phone fell a foot, that's not bad, but it dented the metal. It dented the metal frame, which means that wasn't a screen replacement. I couldn't take it to an Apple store and get the screen replaced. That's a full phone replacement. So that phone is not durable. I do not like this trend in manufacturing a teeny tiny little metal strip and glass on glass sandwiches. Let's see. I'm going to try and wrap this up here soon because I just realized how long I've been talking, and this was supposed to be a Blackberry Key2 unboxing and setup, and we did that in like the first 15 minutes. From Farid, I never throw out old phones. They join the shelf of shame, just like Jerry Rig. I've got my, see, that's just it, is I don't call mine the shelf of shame. Mine is the shelf of glory, because these are the phones that I've held on to and I've not sold or given away. From Junkie, Note 4 for life. I really just want a new Note 4 with a modern SoC and more recent Android version. I'm right there with you, because you wouldn't have to change much. The Note 4 is still a competitive mid-ranger today. It's flipping phenomenal. From Goran Petrovic, Note 4, best phone ever made. Yeah, guys, seriously, there's so many. Like I said before, a trend hits and companies jump on the bandwagon so fast that you don't get a chance to vote with your wallet. When the Note 5 and the Galaxy S6 Edge came out, there was no way for us to say, whoa, 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 hey, we liked the Note 4. What happened there? Or the Galaxy Alpha. If you remember the little teeny baby Note 4 without a stylus, my dad had that phone. That thing was killer. I loved the Alpha. It was such a great phone. I would much rather have had the Alpha take over as the smaller Galaxy than what we have now with glass. It's so frustrating. Let's see. Yeah, other people, Goran Petrovic, Galaxy Alpha was like a small Note 4. From Farid, question, will you review China phones from brands like Xiaomi, Vivo, etc.? I am reaching out to Xiaomi to see if I can build up any kind of a relationship there. A lot of companies won't send me a phone because I'm based in the United States and they might not be selling the phone here in the United States. So I'm also going to be looking at what retailers I might be able to work with to get my hands on a phone that might only be sold internationally. It's really tricky because only about 25 to 30% of my audience is located in North America. So I feel like I'd still be able to add to a conversation about a Chinese manufacturer. And I do really well with Huawei and Honor. I really like reviewing their phones. So it's definitely something I'm hoping to expand on this channel too. But then also I'm hoping to not stay exclusively phones. I know a lot of you were following me because of Pocket now. But there are other gadgets and accessories and then videos that I want to be putting out about how to use these things, how to get the most out of them, especially for content creation. I keep adding to this video that I'm producing on video editing and camera control and how to use your manual modes and what makes for a good manual mode on a camera, on a phone camera. And I keep getting interrupted by talking about phones. So that's definitely something that I might just have to put a hard pause on phone reviews and then cover some of these other pet projects that I've got. People talking about the HTC HD2, that was great. From Moomin, I miss removable batteries. Who knew that the LG V20 was going to be the end of an era for removable batteries? It's so sad when you don't know that is going to be the last time you see that feature. My mom has a Galaxy S5 and she doesn't want to get rid of it because she doesn't want to have to mess with a phone that she can't replace the battery on her own. I don't know what to recommend for her. I mean, she's kind of stuck with a certain set of requirements that she wants to see in a phone that kind of just don't exist anymore. From Renato Laporte, I definitely want to get my hands on some connected PCs. I'm going to be reaching out to a couple manufacturers about that too. From Jordis, do you have burn-in on your OLED phones? So Jordis, I have had a hard time trying to test screen burn-in on various devices because I switch phones so aggressively. I'm able to give my phones a break more than I think general consumers might be if that was the only phone that they used consistently for 2 years straight. So I'm not a good benchmark for something like that. It's a concern. I totally appreciate the concern. It's just not something that happens to me with my current usage. Right now, I am bouncing back and forth between 6 different phones. It's really hard to have your screen burn in when it's really only being used about 1/3 of the time that it normally would be. Let's see, from Kobe. My mom really wants a new phone, but doesn't want to give up her friend Jack. Oh, like the headphone jack. Okay. At least there are more options for her that still have one, but she likes her iPhone. There's no way around that. I mean, maybe you could get her an iPhone SE. Or maybe the SE2 will have a headphone jack because it's supposed to be a phone for cheaper people or less expensive users. I don't know. So I wanna wrap this up because this has gone on a little long. Before I do, I'm gonna do some housekeeping here. If there are any additional questions about the Blackberry, we can answer those before I bounce out. But a couple other videos and projects that I want you guys to know about. I am going to be finishing up the OnePlus 6 camera review this week. I've already written the script for it. I've recorded the voiceover. It looks like it's going to be about 15 to 16 minutes of commentary on the OnePlus camera. Some surprising things, some not so surprising things. And I call the phone a mid-ranger a lot. So hopefully that'll piss off a lot of people who get really cranky about what label I put on the phone that they've decided to associate with their specific lifestyle. So that's going to be out. Those deep dive reviews, the camera reviews and the audio reviews are Patreon exclusives, which you can catch on patreon.com/SomeGadgetGuy. I also want to throw a shout out. I got to do an amazing collaboration with my buddy Michael Fisher. Again, talking about audio tech and something that I want to do more of. Really nice recording tech. We reviewed this amazing portable microphone called the Mic Me. It's a very unique experience. It's a very unique product. I've not seen anything like it before. It's definitely pricey for being the first of its kind and being super unique, but I totally think it's something you guys should definitely, you guys should check out. I have a review on my channel, but Mr. Mobile produces a nicer video and I show up in that video to help him talk about some of the different audio technologies that are being employed on the Mic Me. So you can check that out on his channel, on Mr. Mobile's YouTube channel. And then we're going to be wrapping up our E3 coverage during the live stream on Newegg, just kind of talking about some of our experiences, what we saw on the show floor, what we liked, what we were concerned about. And all of those videos are now live on Newegg's YouTube channel, where Trisha and I are interviewing people. If you were a fan of Alan Wake or Max Payne, we had a 20-minute sit down with Sam Lake at Remedy Games to talk about Control. And that was my biggest surprise of E3. Not that they were making a game. We were pretty confident that Remedy was going to be making another title. Their last title was kind of a flop. But the fact that they waited until the game was almost completely done to start talking about it and showing it off. Like, oh yeah, in early next year, Control. And it's pretty much already done. And that blew my mind that they were able to keep leaks from ruining their big reveal and their big surprise. So that was really exciting. I would wholly recommend checking out at least that interview. Because again, this is like the head of Remedy sitting down to talk to us. Like, this is Mr. Alan Wake, Mr. Max Payne, talking about their new game. And so I was really excited about that. That was a good get for us. So I hope you'll check it out on the youtube.com/Newegg or Newegg Studios. Search for Newegg, you'll find the channel and you'll see my interview with Sam Lake there. So let's see, any last, oh, my mouse is dead. Did my mouse die? Or is this just a bad surface to use the mouse on? I'm gonna have to scroll up manually. Here, this stream is woke. You're right, Farid. I am totes woke. Oh, people talking about cheap iPhones and an iPhone SE2 and LCD variants and the master is gonna create a phone called the Blueberry. And from Jordis, this is probably the most wholesome chat ever. No trolls. Awesome community this is. We have been working really hard on youtube.com/WanBagnell. I have an amazing group of people, of viewers, that have been tamping down on complete and total raging assholes infiltrating our live streams. That is absolutely something I will throw 2 thumbs up, and I would give more thumbs had I more hands. Because you guys have been absolutely incredible supporting production on this channel, checking out things like my Patreon campaign, but then also making sure that we are staying on topic, that we're having these conversations because we're all interested in this stuff. and we're not just trying to play the thumbs up, thumbs down, winner, loser, everything sucks but the phone I like kind of conversation. You guys help keep me honest, but then you're also just as game to really join this conversation in earnest, and I can't thank you enough. I wouldn't be doing this if it were just your normal run-of-the-mill standard YouTube trolley BS. And I have a lot of trouble. I've been having a lot of frustrations with some recent interactions with other producers that don't stay intellectually honest about what it is that they're trying to achieve. So you guys joining the conversation and actually keeping me on task is at least keeping me internally consistent with what I complain about and then what I praise, and I think that goes hand in hand. I think if the audience expects a level of honesty in this, as opposed to an audience coming to a channel just because they want to be fanboys of a particular manufacturer or a particular gadget, then that to me is a much more interesting dialogue and a much more interesting conversation. And we can find the things that we can praise about a device much more readily than just, well, I like a Pixel, so this phone sucks. That's not interesting to me. That's really boring. Let's see. And then a couple other recommendations. Some thumbs up from Kobe, from Jaime, from some other folks in here. And I think that's probably about as good a place to end it as I can. My mouse is dead. I'm so frustrated by that. So again, Blackberry Key 2, it's all set up. Well, not all set up. I still have to, oh, come on, fingerprint sensor. Are you gonna wig out on me now? I still have to set up like social media and all those other apps and stuff, but I'm gonna be spending some time with this phone, really running it through its paces. I'm really excited. I loved the Blackberry Key1. So this is gonna be a good homecoming for me in running this phone as a daily driver. It's got my SIM card in it already. It's ready to go. And I'll be sharing my thoughts as soon as that embargo lifts for the full reviews. You can be on the lookout for an audio review, for a camera review. I'm going to treat this just like any other phone. I don't believe in ending the conversation at, it's a keyboard for nostalgic reasons because old people. I've seen too many people tapping out on the BlackBerry conversation as if that's all this phone has to offer. My hypothesis for my full review, if you care about multimedia, if you care about the absolute best gaming experience, go somewhere else. Don't get this phone. If you want the all-time best communications device, if you want a phone that has a unique aesthetic in a world of glass sandwiches, if you want a phone that's gonna rock some battery life, this is probably gonna be a phone that will do well for you and your specific use. That's my guess. And I hope to see that reinforced when I get done, when I wrap up the full review on this channel, youtube.com/JuanBagnell. And I know I've been streaming this on Periscope and Twitch too, so those of you joining me on other platforms also, thanks so much for joining this live stream. Again, I can't do this without your support, people talking about the kinds of videos that I'm producing, sharing those videos, not just on social media, but on services like Reddit. I've been getting a lot of people complaining about the Patreon, but if everyone who complained about the Patreon were sharing on platforms like Reddit, I probably wouldn't need to use Patreon to help fill in how terrible YouTube ad revenue has become. But again, those people were complaining because they wanted something for free with zero effort, and I can't help you there. I need this to be a partnership. So thanks so much for watching. You know where you can find me around the rest of the internet at SomeGadgetGuy on all the socials, the Facebooks, the Twitters, the Instagrams if you want to catch me, follow me for some camera conversation, some camera chat. I'm always down to chat about some stuff like that. And yeah, this worked out really well. So hopefully this will be my setup for future live streams. And I didn't have any catastrophic failures. I was expecting at least 3 catastrophic failures. We had 0. So I'm really stoked about that. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for commenting. This conversation was awesome, and I'm really happy you guys joined me for it. But we got to get back to some World Cup action, so I will catch you all on the next video. Bam.